Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel and back to the DriftGames Supra. Now, judging from the views, this is what you guys want to see and you don't care about anything else that I have going on. That's nice. So let's take a look. 1 week left on the Supra, and it'd just be nice to take a quick look before we get to the completed car. I won't have much time between here and the end to do a video, so let's take a quick look, starting in the engine bay. We go through some new stuff, some cool stuff, and show you guys almost the finished product. Okay, here we go. So the obvious, really, look at the way the 3D printed parts came out. So in tanks are symmetrical, except for this one has a divider in it that splits the air. I will show you that with the second one. So this is the spare intercooler, which we're using right now as we get the car together. And then the primary new core is over here. This was the existing core and has a few marks and things in it. So that's going to be the spare for the season. And then the new core is somewhere, and I must get that welded up. But yeah, the in tanks, we did them split, as they were getting quite expensive in one piece. So we split them and welded a line on the center, which is a decent compromise, as yeah, this size of piece in aluminium was getting really expensive. So this was a good solution between cost and time. You'll notice the laser cut plate. This is a 6mm alloy plate. It is identical above and below, so there is a second one in under here, and this is also welded to the top, and it is the mount, top and bottom, for the cooler, and it is the mount for the 40-row oil cooler that is now available on groupd.ie. This is something we made up. So it's a 40-row cooler, which is nice and big for oil temps, and it has a cowling to run a 12-inch race fan, which I think actually is stronger than the radiator fans in the back. But yeah, this is for oil temps. So this car could end up in a heat wave in the middle of Europe. It could end up in the Middle East at some point of it in its life or whatever. And basically, oil temps are what kill these things, especially in drifting on the limit or no real airflow. So we have made this solution to be able to control the oil temps to almost whatever we like. And yeah, you can bring the fan on and keep the temps in check no matter what the weather. That is the plan. Any kind of oil cooler fan that you see advertised as an oil cooler fan just doesn't cut it at this level of power, this level of temperature, and at what we are doing with these cars, with basically very bad airflow. Now, this has a knock-on effect of pulling air through the intercooler core, of course, and that is why it is mounted on the hot side. So when the oil cooler fan comes on, which is quite early, to keep the oil temps in check, it also pulls the cold air through the hot side of the core and works this side of the core, and this side is more based on ambient and kind of blows through. So that's the theory behind it. There's quite a lot of thought gone into something, but that's the way we do things. So 40-row cooler mounted on its side here. You can mount it with the pipes facing up as well, but mounting its side means the two lines will come out here nicely, and they will go along and into the side of the block sandwich plate. Not fitted right now, but that's where they go. So there's a lot of thought put into this before it has gone anywhere close to completion. There's an awful lot of theory gone into it. We made this loop here from 1.5-inch CDS underneath, and then this 1-inch CDS above, and they are the mounts. It's also protecting the frame a bit. Strangely, with this car, we're not concerned about nose weight or anything, so all this kind of helps. Normally we would have more concern over that, but we are trying to shift the weight forward, as you know. So that is why all this, it looks great in my opinion, but we might have gone inch here before or something a bit more simple, but this all helps. We also need, if you remember, there was ballast across the front on some semi-dodgy bracketry, so the ballast now will bolt to the tube here, and this will serve multiple purposes and we can actually affix the ballast to it nicely. So that is this. It's really beautiful. Moving on, vibrant clamps, brand new. The ferrules are printed in the pipes, and yeah, it's all been done. It's got GD printed into it, recessed into it both sides. And yeah, the airflow here should be absolutely sweet. So let me just grab some of these parts not fitted, and I'll give you a look at what they're like. So here is the upper end tank on the hot side. So this is what we ended up with there. You can see knife-edged divider on the hot side. This separates the hot air and makes it go through the core. So under full demand, full throttle demand, the air is still forced to go through all of the cooler, and hopefully ends up with lower intake air temps over here, rather than it taking maybe the shortest route it can. It is dividing it, so it's knife edged on the way in. Now, one thing about this, it is a bastard for fingerprints. And there you see the divider splitting the air in half and going to the center of the core, and then the bottom piece obviously goes on here, and it completes the lower section. So as I said, a bastard for fingerprints. Just with the finish, you can kind of hear the rough finish that's on it. It is AL-ISMI 10 or something is the material. And yeah, I mean, anodizing would be sweet. Obviously not really an option on the core, but will be an option for the boost pipes. But yeah, and as you can see, the ferrule is printed into the end. So the ferrule came out better on some ends than others. This is kind of the gamble with 3D printing. So we will pressure test the system to make sure we have full seal. If we don't, because this is all a bit of an experiment, if we don't, we'll have to chop an end off and weld the vibrant ferrule on, which will be a total success. So yeah, if this works out without having to do any welding on the boost pipes, it'll be amazing. If it doesn't, and the ferrule accuracy isn't good enough, then we'll just chop the 3D printed end off and we will weld the original on. So we're not taking a humongous risk here. It'll all be double checked, and if there's any question marks, it'll get the vibrant ferrule welded on and will be better. But fingers crossed we get this works, because it's just so simple and neat. We basically welded on the ends, which wasn't the easiest thing in the world either, welding the 3D printed material to, we'll call it normal aluminium, wasn't the easiest thing to weld. I have to say that more normal sheet aluminium is way nicer to weld. But I mean, once I welded the cooler, everything else clips on, literally just clips into place. So fingers crossed that all goes well this week. Right, thought this would be a quick update, but I'm already at many minutes of talking shite. And we're still in the engine bay. So the GTE upper has been joined to the GE lower via this adapter plate that Gar Collins had and kindly watched the videos and told us he had this and saved us a bit of time. So that's done and in place. This has all been painted steelite grey, which I think it looks great. We also went to extra efforts of welding up some of the holes and just tidying it up a bit. This is also a 3D printed aluminium adapter that we just steelited grey also, just to match, because it does come in, you know, as I said, this kind of finish, so it is susceptible to staining from fingerprints. So we said we'd just keep it the same, and that goes to an RMR 75mm throttle body, and this takes the original 2JZ throttle position sensor, and it comes with the ferrule for the vibrant clamp, and we got multiple cams here so we can do our throttle cable the way we want to. So that's working out really well. We're just waiting on the fuel rail to arrive, a new fuel rail. Old one was no good, old manifold was no good, old throttle body was no good, blah blah blah, and all that has bin changed and it's nearly done. The engine also, big thing here sticking out, is sweet. It is fully rebuilt, brand new bottom end, brand new block, brand new pistons, same crank, same rods, all checked over, everything done. It is the same head, but it ended up getting upgrades and all sorts of things going on, so it is a new engine. It also has our Group D water pump delete, which is absolutely genius, designed by Ryan here, and also 3D printed in aluminium, and it comes with a AN6 port on the back that goes to the water feed for the turbo, and it comes with an AN6 internally threaded on the inside, and it is 38mm push-on silicone holes on the outside, which we will be using the 38mm silicone on this because that's what was on it, and we're reusing some of the stuff because it is crunch time. That is sweet. Now on the Group D website, along with the oil cooler I was on about, solving problems, that's what we do, and try to solve them as cool and as intelligently as we can. Easy for me to say. Exhaust side is fully done, reworked. It's the same manifold that had quite a few cracks in it, which I've welded up. That is something, probably it's on its last season, to be honest. Turbo is the same as last year. We've upgraded to a 60mm wastegate, new screamer pipe, and as you can see, standing out an awful lot is this new exhaust. So we went up to 4-inch from 3.5 that was on it. I'll always go to 4 to take pressure off of the turbo and hopefully reduce intake air temps on the limit because the turbo can breathe better. You've got 30% more flow from a 4-inch than you do from a 3.5. So this could just, you know, until you go up to 4, you don't know if it opens the whole thing out and drops the intake air temps. Just always go 4. There's loads of room in this car to do that. As you can see, engine is in. You can change the gearbox from the engine bay now, ideally with the 4-inch. Moving forward of the engine, the mounts are back here and they're done. All yellow paint pin, that means they're finally done and everything is tight. Oh, you can see it better here. So there's the adjustable mount and it's all done, and the steering rack is mounted. I will show you that from underneath. New steering rack mount. So that is what's going on. We haven't got out of the engine bay yet, but all brand new here, all looking absolutely class. Just transformed this machine really. Right, in the wheel well, I'm going to do, probably the next episode is going to be one on suspension and what we are doing to try and get this thing to behave itself. In the wheel well, I've just finished, as you can see from the squirting of power steering fluid, I've just finished setting the bump and droop on the shock. So spring removed, bump stop removed. What I normally do is pick where I want the shock to stop. So absolutely slammed. Actually, the physical damper is stopped, so right at the very end, and then I'll adjust my bottom perch to have that be my absolute maximum where I want the wheel to stop in the wheel arch, given the wing, bonnet, fender, wheel arch on the rear, blah blah blah. So that is done, and I normally just set that, and then I will end up with a load of droop, which is excellent, and all I have to do is kind of check if the ball joint is out of deflection. But interestingly, on this car, it's got the tie rod out over the lower control arm, which causes an issue that I will show you. Right, so tie rod out over lower control arm means possible clearance problem on steering lock, and there we have full droop and we have no problems, and you can see the ball joint is pretty much bang center, so that's going to be no issue. But if I turn the wheel and show you what goes on at full lock, you have to be very careful on a setup like this. So I can't turn the wheel and use the camera at the same time. Check out where that is now. So decent gap there, but almost nothing here. So that is full droop causing that issue, and it's also full lock on the far over wheel. So we're now on number 1 lock stop, which is called in the wide fab. That's maximum lock. So I'm on maximum lock and the trailing wheel is at maximum lock, and I have clearance at maximum droop. So going over a jump, Suspension can do its thing. Nothing binds, nothing touches, nothing bends, nothing breaks. That's where my shock now needs to be. So this has been a slight compromise here. Normally, we'll say in a Sylvia, you've got no tie rod issues. And also, I'll show you. I might be able to pull this. Oh, fuck. Right, so going the other way, you have this channel here, which can cause an issue if you have loads of droop and you're going over a jump or whatever, or I suppose in this car's life, it would be turn one Mondello and an unloaded inside wheel can come off the ground, as you can see. But to be fair, it normally comes off the ground because you haven't this done. It normally comes off the ground because you have loads of bump available and no droop available. I will do a full video on the suspension next. Almost forgot. Brake lines, all new, all routed, clamped properly. We've got a little area here, which could be chafing happen here on lock or whatever. So this needs to be protected. And it has this heat shrink here ready to be shrank when we're happy, top and bottom. And it's clipped here. So brake lines redone and looking a lot better than before. Almost forgot. Fuel filter is here in the engine bay now. It was in the boot, lying flat above the cell, but this is how I do it. So the filters in the tank, you've got a pre-filter on every fuel pump. They stop any contaminants from the fuel jugs or jerry cans or whatever you guys use. They stop that, and then this I mount as close to the engine as possible, and this feed line will be as short as possible. So this filters the line, etc. This car is also using hard lines underneath. They're steel or aluminium or something, so you could get them degrading over time or whatever, and this stops all of that carry on. So fuel filter in the engine bay, you must do. Right, so the interior is a mess at the moment, but one thing we have done is we've mounted this Link PDM here. So this car had a couple of relays here that switched everything in the boot. We've changed that to a PDM so we can monitor the amp draw from all the units at the back, and hopefully that'll preempt failure. If we can see something drawing extra amps, we can actually change it before it fails. That's the plan. We've also moved the master switch was here. We've moved that. We are moving that, and then this has all been wired, not heat shrink yet, but it's been wired, and all the rear is now wired. So PDM controlling the back of the car now instead of relays. Right, body panels are all fitted. Rear of the car is looking really good. This is the rear shock, new BC in there. Again, the height is set, the shock height is set, so I have this travel is corresponding to where I want the wheel to stop in the wheel arch. Now, interestingly, in this car, that might not be the maximum amount of bump available. It might be down to other things, and it actually is in this car. So I'll go into that more in the next video, where I might do just suspension only. New brake lines again, ready for the ends to be heat shrunk. We ran the handbrake one up and over so we could just pair them together, and they run in and they're clipped here onto the chassis, and yeah, totally threw away what was there. This will also have a clip here when it's finished, so it will be clipped here, so it will just float nicely. So yeah, so all these are important. Every small detail is important. So the rear is very close. Everything was out. This car was basically a shell with some interior stuff in it not that long ago. So the rear is done. We put 3 new fuel pumps in, and last year's pumps are spares, so just get them done. There's new fuel lines done to the join point in the center here. There's a join point just under there. The fuel filter was here. I already said don't like it here. You've got fuel filters in the pumps, and then you have 3 inches of line and another fuel filter, and then you have meters of line. Doesn't make sense to me. So that's changed. All new wiring here, all labeled, heat shrink. This was different because I think it was kind of, I'd say different, it was crap. It was kind of redone halfway. The wiring is done here, it's not clipped, so all this will be clipped nicely before it's finished. We moved the expansion, the red expansion bottle was up in here where you couldn't get at it to fill it. We moved it here so that the header tank will now expand down and into this, and you'll be able to check this level hot and cold, which is important. The rad was out. We redid some of the bracketry for the cowling. That's been redone. So a couple of interesting things more than anything is the filler. So we put a new filler on. This had a big donkey here and to there, which was kind of just sitting there. We've changed that. We ran a little bit of clear here so you can see it's full. We've got these hose clamps temporary. We're waiting for proper T-bolt clamps for clamping this once and for all and never be afraid of it again. We ran this little stainless pipe up to the new fuel filler, which is just so nice to use. And that's now how you fill the car, much nicer than before. It's bolt on here, it's absolutely rock solid. Nicely goes up there. Fans can blow either side of it. And this is really nice. So we repurposed this can here. We got a base for it. We welded it to the base and ran a breather out of it. So the differential now breathes into the bottom of this underneath the aluminium here. It breathes into the bottom of it and then it breathes up through the tank out, and that is your diff breather. So fuel breather down to the cell and diff breather out of here. And why we did this is you can change the gears in the diff now. You can put the back cover back on. You can take your oil tray and bring it in here and pour the oil into this, and it works its way back down into the diff on its own. So it just makes the quick change even quicker. So we thought that was a nice touch, and we'll probably, to make it even easier, we're going to 3D print a big wide funnel for it. So you take off the cap, you screw the big wide funnel on, and then you pour your oil gear change tray into the top of it, put the cap back on and leave it work its way down. And yeah, that should make it a lot easier for putting the oil back in the diff rather than using a syringe or whatever. Right, underneath, so the back frame has got these 2-inch bars added to it. I think I showed you them before. We've got the skid plate now on under the diff, so this also joins the underside as well as the up and over hoop, so hopefully stiffen this up a bit because it seems to be prone to failing. The subframe does up here. What else is going on back here? These are the fuel lines, brand new, going to this, as I mentioned before, seems to be steel pipe, so reused underneath. Obviously running rubber lines on there has got its own, or PTFE lines has its own drawbacks, but this is nicely done. I just hope these are clean, but now I have a fuel filter in the engine bay. They look pretty clean, and now I'm happy that they're safe. We made a bracket for the water pump, so it's rock solid now and can't be flopping all over the place. Here are the new lines ready to be heat shrink, through bulkhead, up and over, Group D 3D printed, P-clips everywhere. Runs lovely up around. Can you see them? Yes, you can. Up there, out, and to the caliper. So you might remember from the first video, they were flopping all over the place. Now they are absolutely bomb-proof, not running out through arms and stuff like that. No bomb-proof, so, you know, perfection is lots of little things done well. So the rear of the car is 90% done now, I would say. Moving forward, we're working on a gearbox mount here, which we hate the sight of it at the moment, but we'll get there. Just half tube, half angle at the moment. We must make a new prop this week. We must finish the waterline to go underneath. Blah, blah, blah. There's the new extreme clutch for this year. Here is your flexi bellows there on the 4-inch exhaust. There was already an exhaust tunnel done in this car and it fits the 4-inch nicely, and that's done. It's over there. And the screen is done nicely, slash cut at ground level-ish. So yeah, underneath, this video is getting a bit long and I have stuff to do, but this is the real baby. So we made this subframe braced, so the subframes are all twisting on these things because they're aluminium. They don't take much of a smack, and then you've got like a 19mm steel arm against 2 aluminium tabs. Doesn't make a lot of sense that, you know, this will obviously twist before a 19mm solid steel arm will. So we made this brace, and we made this brace to mount the steering rack. So here it is, bolts through the steering rack. You can see in here some washers. There's the upper section of it which bolts down through the subframe as well. This is a true bolt. It sticks out the back here somewhere. You can't see it, things are tight, but what it does do, oh, I can't see it. Can't see it in camera. So we made a little leg with a stainless nut welded onto the end of it, so you can just hold the leg in there, and then you can tighten the nut with the leg held in there rather than trying to get a spanner in there, which you can't. So this is now your bump steer adjustment with washers, slightly oversized compared to the rack. So you have actual bump steer adjustment, which you don't get in the Wise Fab because it's just the size of the 2 high angle spacers. So you have some bump steer adjustment if you need it. All this is tight, all painted. The glory about this is now you can damage the subframe. You can find the subframe close to the track if you don't have a spare. You can bolt this off and you can bolt it to your new subframe. Whereas the previous welded on aluminium brackets means TIG welding at the track, which doesn't tend to be the easiest thing to get done or whatever. Doesn't matter. This takes no time whatsoever. Line of bolts, bolt on your new rack, done. So it's handy for changing the subframe and having spares, etc. So also strengthening all these points and hopefully keep the subframe together a bit better. Right guys, kind of rushed it there at the end, but I have things to do and we will go over things in more detail at some stage. Not sure if we can do a completed video next week. It's going to be down to the wire maybe, but we'll see how we go. But that's it. A lot of details in there. I'm very happy with everything so far. I think, you know, we've accomplished a lot with this car, but we've really crossed the T's, dotted the I's. There's so much stuff on it that is never going to give an issue again, and we can be just totally confident with. So yeah, some nice engineering got into it, some nice new ideas, and next time you see it, it'll be totally finished. So thanks for watching. This is a quick one. Thanks for watching, and I hope you guys like it, and please subscribe, please give the views to us, and yeah, we'll see you next time, and this will be done.